Yes, everyone, welcome to Full Time Devils. My name is Stephen Howson, and because obviously it is a massive, massive game, we have got a massive, massive preview with some top contributors. We have got Paul from Rant, we have got Statman Dave, we have got Adam McKola, and Gaz. How's it going, everyone? Right then, before we get stuck into this, I do have to tell you that we are recording this prior to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference, so if he goes, here's my starting 11, the lads aren't privy to it when they're giving their 11, so go gentle on most of them in the comments. But let's get stuck into it then. Is this a win at all cost game for Manchester United? Is it just another 3 points? Is it just another Premier League game? Please don't say it is. And is this an opportunity for Solskjaer to cement his reign as manager of Manchester United, or does it not really matter what happens? Paul, I'm coming to you first.
I mean, that was a lot of questions. Which one would you like me to address first?
It's like a buffet, Paul. You just go and select the ones that you fancy.
Can I? In that case, I'm going to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because that's mostly the only topic I'm interested in talking about in the world at the moment. I don't actually think the result of this game is going to have any bearing on whether he gets the job. I think right now, unless we lose and it precipitates a massive collapse for the rest of the season, which I just can't see happening, I think that the debate is basically done. I think he's probably got the job. When you combine how extraordinarily well he's done with the fact that he'll be cheaper and easier to appoint, right now it looks like a massive PR win anyway to appoint Solskjaer. No one's going to, there might be a few people going, should we really probably should have got Poch ideally, but no one's going to be like, oh, I hate Man United now because we've appointed Ole. Everyone loves it.
There will be.
I guarantee there is. Guarantee there is.
Well, sure, but it's the path of least resistance to appoint him, and unless this is an absolute disaster of a performance, which then leads to multiple disastrous performances afterwards, I don't think it's going to have a bearing on whether he gets the job or not.
Dave, massive game for Manchester United. How do you see this going into this game? Should we be treating it like any other game, or should we just be honest and say United-Liverpool's biggest game in the league?
It's a cup final. 29 years. It's been ages. We need to beat Liverpool so they don't win the league. It's as simple as that. It's a huge game for Manchester United, not only for the fans, for the club, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's just huge. It's so big. It always is. It's always a massive game against Liverpool, no matter whether they're, in the League One, in League Two, in the Championship, but they could win the league. So United need to be beating Liverpool in this situation. They need to be putting a massive dent in their title challenge. They need to be crushing their confidence. They need to be scoring goals. They need to be attacking them. It's one of these situations where this is a big game for Manchester United, even bigger than we've seen in recent years under Mourinho, under whoever. It's absolutely humongous.
Adam, a little bit of a different vibe going into this game from the last game when I think all of us was fairly certain we was not going to win that game. What do you think's changed?
For me, whoever's got home advantage, I always feel they're going to win that game going into it. When Manchester United are at Old Trafford, I always feel we can do it regardless of what form we're in. And same going to Anfield, regardless of what form they're in, I always feel they're going to do us when we go there. And I know we've had a few wins there over the years, but our record generally says that they do well. Obviously at Old Trafford in the last couple of years, I think they've only beaten us once since Fergie's left at Old Trafford. So their record at Old Trafford isn't great either. United come into this one. Obviously, I think that victory against Chelsea was really important for us because after Paris Saint-Germain, I don't think it was the performance. I think the injuries to Lingard and Martial and the reaction that we saw from the team to those injuries made us all feel a little bit like, can we put it out the bag with these players playing in that manner? And I think what it showed us against Chelsea is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is very tactically astute, and also that he has got different ways of playing with different personnel. Now, I was fearing he'd just go and try and play the same way with the same personnel, and he didn't. So I think he'll have something up his sleeve for Liverpool. In terms of the size of the game, though, like Dave says, absolutely massive. Now, we may sound like Liverpool fans have over the last couple of years when we were winning the league and they were just trying to stop us from being successful and all that kind of stuff. But that's where we are at the moment. So we have to say it with our chest. We need to do these. We absolutely need to do them because we can't have them rocking up to Old Trafford, beating us, and then I think if they beat us, the momentum that will generate for them could possibly be the difference, because their fixtures going to the end of the season aren't that bad after they play us. Whereas if we beat them, that sends a whole different message to them, because then City have the opportunity to go points clear without that game in hand. And once that happens, I think Liverpool's wheels could start to fall off a little bit. But a victory for them, and it sends their momentum shift completely the opposite direction.
Guys, talking about the momentum shift going in a nasty direction for United, should we be defeated by Liverpool? What about the opposite? What about the thought, if we beat them, could it affect our season? Could it propel us into that? Well, I mean, we're still in all three competitions, lads. I mean, I don't know.
Stop it. We're not going to do that, are we? Look, best we can hope for this season is top three, which is potentially still there. I think.
No, the best we can hope for is them not winning the league, guys. Really.
But mate, this one's absolutely massive for everyone involved. For Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think if he wins this one, I don't think there's any way I can see him not being permanent Manchester United manager next season. I think he's got the job if he was to win. Massive for the fans, because we just don't want to see these lot win the league. I've never seen Liverpool win the league. I don't want to see it. It sickens me, the idea of it. It's something I've never experienced, and I don't want to experience it now. So it's massive for the fans and massive for the team as well, because top four is so possible for us now. So possible. And a bit of momentum after this one. To be honest, I think even if we weren't to get a great result here and we were to lose, I think if the team shows real fight and we lose the right way, as some people have said recently, and I don't think momentum will have been hit too much, but a win, mate, a win, and I think we're going for top four and we're going to get it this year.
The young man that scored.
Sorry, Steve. Can you imagine we win? That will mean Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has beaten Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool. All that's left to beat is Man City. That game's luckily for them been delayed, so hopefully they can get a few points lead by the time we beat them. Mate, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's killing it. People keep saying that he's not really doing much, or wait till the pressure's on. But some of these teams he's beating, and the manner we're beating them is ridiculous.
Yeah,
the pressure was on the day he turned up. Let's be honest.
That Chelsea game was so huge. I mean, it was a big game anyway, but coming off the back of PSG and not just the result against PSG, but the nature of the performance in the second half, which is probably the first time we've looked genuinely properly lacklustre. I mean, there's been a few moments in a couple of the Premier League games, but honestly, that Chelsea game, he went for a tactical innovation, a different lineup, and the performance level of the team, almost like 10 out of 11 players were excellent in that game. He is doing an absolute. I love him, and I'm completely one-eyed about it. I own my bias completely. But even when I separate that out, he's doing an absolutely extraordinary job.
Right then, the young man that scored both of the goals against Liverpool in the home fixture last season, Marcus Rashford, is currently part of a little bit of speculation. Some speculation that Barcelona are interested in him.
Ha!
And there's also the speculation that a 6-year contract is on the table, and it seems like Ed Woodward is doing the briefing here because he sounds very confident that a signature will be on that contract in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Very interesting. Now, on my bit of paper, before everyone puts, it's not even paper, it's an iPad, before everyone puts these words in my mouth, these are producer Chris's words, and he says, how many Ballon d'Ors would he win in that period? How happy with that contract if he goes through? And, I mean, Paul Ince would have already won a Ballon d'Or with Marcus Rashford, I believe, right now. But Gaz, how happy with that deal? What's going on with Marcus Rashford? And is he going to have a big say this weekend?
Mate, absolutely buzzing. Even when Man United haven't been at the best over the last few years, Marcus Rashford has been one of the few real positive things. He's looking absolutely excellent at the minute and doing things on the pitch that his first people didn't even think he was capable of. He surprised everyone, really, and now he's in a position where he is one of the best young players in world football. That's an absolute fact. He's one of the best players, full stop, in our team. Massive news if he signs the contract, and not at all surprising either. I've never been worried at all, no matter how big Marcus Rashford gets, that he'd want to force a move out of Manchester United, unless we get ourselves in a really bad position where we're never getting in the Champions League and stuff like that. But with him in the team in the future, I can't see it. I think he's a top player. If he stays here his whole career, could smash Rooney's record. Who knows?
I will
Imagine.
personally put that statue up. Personally. In a weekend out of 2p's that I boiled myself with pure love. Dave, how important do you think Marcus Rashford is to this system that Ollie plays?
Very important. I think he's important to Manchester United as a centre forward. I think he gives opposition defenders a lot of problems. They've got to be thinking, oh, is Rashford going to press me? Is he going to run in behind? Is he going to drop deep on the ball? I think that's the beauty of Marcus Rashford. Within his short career at Manchester United, he's arguably become a complete footballer, and that's incredible for such a young player at this age. And I think it's just exciting. 6 more years of Marcus Rashford. Why not make it 10? Why not make it 20? That's the level of Marcus Rashford and where he can go at Manchester United. He's so supremely talented, and he's only going to get better and better. We've seen a breakout this season, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's exciting to see United doing that. And in the diamond, in a 4-3-3, in a 4-2-3-1, whatever position, whatever system, you're going to get the heart of Marcus Rashford playing for you, working so hard on and off the ball that you don't see from many footballers on the planet. So Marcus Rashford, 6 years, why not 6 more? Why not 12 years, 20 years, whatever? Marcus Rashford's an absolute
Promise him the manager's job.
Adam, the performance that we saw from Marcus against Chelsea, he was the number 1 asset on the break, which is something that I really love to see. The cross that he put in for Pogba was spectacular. Beckham would have been on his feet applauding that. But the run that he did, where he absolutely bodied most of the Chelsea defence, talk me through that. How good is he playing at the moment?
It was interesting to watching him play that day. Like I usually sit in the nosebleeds at Old Trafford, and at Chelsea I had a seat which was much closer to the pitch. And I was watching him throughout the game, and he just seemed to be playing very, very angry. And I kept thinking, like, is this affecting him negatively or positively? And by the end of the game, I felt like it affected him positively. Now, he doesn't have to play like that, but sometimes in these big games, that's the difference. And being able to channel that aggression in the right way can make the difference to how successful you are in the game. And like you said, that ball that he whipped into the box for Paul Pogba was Beckham-esque. Now, if you're playing angry in the wrong way, you don't whip that ball in like that. You don't take your time to pick the pass. You see Paul Pogba's run and wait just for the right moment to stick it on his head in between the defenders. And you have to give him massive credit for that. The run on the break, I think it was in the second half, when he ran away from Kante and David Luiz, the skill and the pace and the speed that he did it at. I credited Kylian Mbappe last week because I didn't realise how quick he was and how controlled he was with his pace. It wasn't just brute speed and then, where's the ball gone? It's behind me somewhere. And obviously Rashford isn't as good as that on the ball at speed, but he showed glimpses of that against Chelsea. It's really great to see him play. I still think at times in front of goal, like he not panics because he does all the right things seemingly. He just fluffs his lines a little bit sometimes. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting in his ear will really help him. I think next season's a season where we can look at him and say, you can get us 25 goals plus this season. And that's remarkable because he's only 21 years old. So this new contract, 6 years or whatever, it's going to take him till he's 27. And he still have his peak years ahead of him. So it's great to see him play. But what we've got to do is look at the fact that Marcus Rashford will still have dips in his game at times. It's how we manage those. It's a shame that Romelu Lukaku isn't performing. It's a shame that Alexis Sanchez isn't performing because it would have taken some pressure off his shoulders because there's an awful lot of pressure on his shoulders at the moment. But he's showing that he can handle it. And if I was Ollie, I'd give him that number 9 shirt in the summer.
Does it not say a lot that he's already had a dip already and come back from it now? He's already showing that he can come back from them.
Well, he came back from Mourinho, so yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Paul, you were shaking your head when Adam said he'd be at his peak at 27. Am I detecting that you think because he's a pacey player he's going to nosedive?
I don't think it's just him. I think the notion that footballers peak in their late 20s is now 10 years out of date, and players are going to peak at 24, 25, 26. That's going to be what we think of as players. I mean, there will be exceptions to that rule. Jesse Lingard will peak when he's 28, 29. Marcus Rashford ain't going to peak when he's 28, 29. He's going to peak before that, which is fine. Like, it's not, and he can probably, given all the tools at his disposal, I think there's a very good chance that in 7 or 8 years' time, he can reinvent himself as a different kind of player and still have a really effective kind of late third act of his career, as it were. But yeah, no, I think what we're going to see if he signs a 6-year contract is that's going to be his peak, and that's to be celebrated. That's not a bad thing.
I think Marcus has got the ability to be able to transform his game, because I know that as he was coming through the academy, he didn't set the world alight in the way that Mason Greenwood did, but he was coming out of some growing pains issues where United really managed him. They moved him around into different positions. They took him away from being a number 9. They took him away from being a speed player, and they made him be a link man as a number 10 for a few years, just as he was breaking into the under-18s. And that might have took a little bit of an edge off what we're seeing in that final product sort of player now. But with where he's taken his game to at the moment, and knowing that that's probably going to be, the physical issue is probably going to rear its head around that 28, 29, I think the reinvention of Marcus Rashford, much like what we saw with the flying winger in Ryan Giggs, when he was 20, 21, you'd have never thought that guy was playing central midfield for 10 years of his career. I think it's going to be a very interesting development, and what he develops into as a footballer, I think we're in for a right treat. And like Gaz said at the top there, if he ends up as the all-time leading scorer at United, that would be absolutely mega.
When you look at him, though, as well, the reason I feel like he could have a long period of success at United is because when I look at him, I look at someone that reminds... People are going to go crazy about this, but he reminds me of Cristiano Ronaldo in the sense that he's very narrow-minded. He wants to improve on this part of his game, this attribute, add free kicks, add penalties, corners. Now he's going to try and get better with his head. He's getting stronger. He's getting bigger. I think I see a player there that's constantly looking to improve and constantly looking to keep himself at his peak condition, and I think that can help him.
Has there ever been a scandal about Marcus Rashford? There's never been a scandal about Marcus Rashford. He's a dedicated young professional footballer.
The thing is, though, I don't want it to be misinterpreted as me saying I think he's going to burn out and have a rubbish end of his career, because that's absolutely not what I think whatsoever. I think, first of all, I didn't get the opportunity to say, oh my God, isn't it amazing that we've got Marcus Rashford? So, let's just get that out of the way first, because everyone else got to say that, and it's so amazing. But yeah, it's about the fact that I think there'll be a stylistic adjustment at that point. But that's a really interesting point you make about work rate. But of course, you need to combine that with an awful lot of good fortune to be able to sustain the same playing style throughout a 15-year playing career. But I think, as has been said by everyone, I think he's absolutely got all the... I mean, we're previewing Liverpool, not Marcus Rashford in 2029, but I'm sure he's got all the tools he needs to become fully rounded. I think he'd be amazing number 10 potentially at that point in his career, for example. I definitely think that's possible.
Alrighty, it's time for the predicted 11. Paul got 10 out of 11 last time against Chelsea. Kudos. As I said, the injury news that we've sort of had coming through, it's still really up in the air whether Martial or Lingard will feature in this weekend's mega game against Liverpool. I feel some people are going to put them in regardless of the doubt, and that guy I think could be Adam, so I'm going to come to you first. Do you want to give us your starting 11? Before we get into that, as it stands at the moment, the table is Mo Butt is top with 9.2, Dale's on 9 from 6 appearances. Dave, you are leading the charge out of everybody in here at the moment on 8.8. Paul, you're just behind him with 8.5. Gaz, you're on 8, and Adam 8.1. It's not terrible. I think it's getting easier to pick the teams at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
With Ollie having quite a settled 11. So, Adam, do you want to give us your 11 and how you're going to set them up? Because I think that could be very key this weekend.
I'm not sure whether we're going to see a diamond or a 4-3-3, so I'm kind of going to pick players that I think will play rather than in a formation. David De Gea in goal, obviously at fullback. Luke Shaw and Ashley Young. Ashley Young was a lot better against Chelsea, I thought, than he has been at previous points in the season. I think that's what we're going to find with him. He's just going to be really up and down in form because of how old he is. It's kind of like when you're really young, you're going to have inconsistency, and when you're really old. Centre half, difficult one. Chris Smalling was excellent midweek. Phil Jones was all right. I'd go Lindelof Bailly though. We've seen them playing together a few times. I want to see them playing together again. So I'd go with them. I think I think Smalling's better with bigger strikers as well. When he's got more of an aerial battle, I feel like he's better than when he's got speed around him. I always worry when people are running towards Chris Smalling. So I'd go with Lindelof and Bailly. Midfield, Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Hopefully Matic is okay to play. It's a shame, which is a complete flip to the way it was earlier in the season. It's a shame Fred hasn't been getting involved because we kind of need someone to take the pressure off him. McTominay came in for the last few minutes against Chelsea. Like, why isn't Fred being used at all? It's a real. I mean, Pereira got used after his mistake against Burnley, which I think was the right thing to do. You've got to get him back in there as soon as to try and get that out of his memory. But if Pereira's being used and Fred isn't being used, it's kind of confusing to me. I don't know what's going on with the lad. Or maybe we've just written off this season and we're going to try fresh next season. I don't know. Up top, Rashford, obviously. I think Mata played well, but he's not going to start this game. So it's a case of I'm going to go with what I want to see, Lingard and Marshall. I do not want to see Lukaku start this game.
Very interesting. I think Lukaku could feature very well in this game, especially getting in behind Robertson, if that's something we try. Dave, what are you going for system-wise and starting 11-wise?
Been a bit of a, it's been an interesting week. I've been thinking about this all week. I don't think the diamond is how United should play. I don't think United should play 4-3-3 either. So I think a flat 4-4-2 could be a really good way of unlocking PSG or unlocking Liverpool.
What about a 2-2, Dave? I'm nearly there.
I went back and I watched PSG versus Liverpool, and they did play that system. They had Di Maria and Neymar out wide that came inside, and they caused Liverpool all sorts of problems. One of the most comprehensive performances I've seen versus Liverpool this season. So for United, I'd probably go 4-4-2. The standard sort of back five players: De Gea, Young, Bay, Lindelof, Shaw. Into midfield, Matic, Herrera as the two central players, Pogba left-hand side and maybe Matic on the right-hand side. The idea of the system would be for those guys to come inside, get behind Liverpool's midfield, play through the first line of pressure, play through the second line of pressure, and then get at it. Obviously, under Mourinho, we just went long to Lukaku, who I think should be next to Marcus Rashford up front. That's an option for United. Playing direct against the gegenpress is quite smart, but also now, because we've got an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer type manager, we want to play through as well. Got those two options. So I think 4-4-2 would be absolutely perfect for Manchester United.
Gaz, what are you going for system-wise and 11-wise?
Gone diamond, because it worked so well last time out. De Gea in goal, Young, Bailly, Lindelof and Luke Shaw along the back. I think Bailly and Lindelof are Ollie's first choice now, which is good. I think most fans would agree with that one. Matic is your holding midfield, though, with Pogba, Herrera and Mata making up the rest of the midfield. And up front, I'd love to put Martial in there, and I'd love to play Martial and Marcus Rashford as two forwards, but I don't think it'll happen. Lukaku and Rashford I'd put up front.
All right, and Paul, what are you going with a system and with your starting 11?
Yeah, I'm not sure about system at all. I completely agree with Dave that just because the diamond worked against Chelsea, I think Liverpool, although they play the same formation in inverted commas as Chelsea do most of the time, the key to the diamond was the relationship between Mata and Jorginho in terms of Mata, not, as the commentator said, not putting pressure on Jorginho, which Mata's never going to be good at that, but he exploited the space behind him really well, and I don't think Liverpool are going to have the space behind in the same way. I've gone with a straight 4-3-3, but mostly because, like Adam did, it's about getting the players who I think are going to play rather than knowing what the system is. And I'm going for Dave, Young, Lindelof. I've been peer pressured by everyone saying bye. I was going to say Smalling, but I'm flippity. I'm doing a
Could be where the points are.
Yeah, I'm going to do the flippity flop by Shaw at left back. Standard three in the middle, Herrera, Matic, Pogba. Matic really good against Chelsea for the same reason that Ashley Young was really good against Chelsea, which is that defensively we were really compressed. So they didn't have their kind of vulnerabilities in terms of positioning and in terms of being able to turn and get back weren't exploited. So this will be a different kind of challenge for them, and I'm not convinced Matic is going to have a brilliant game here, but I'm sure he'll play. And then, Lukaku, Rashford matter in some configuration up front. What I think I would most like to see, and I literally can't believe I'm about to say this, is a front two of Alexis and Rashford. I don't think that's going to happen. But I Lukaku is playing so badly at the moment that I genuinely want Alexis Sanchez to start over him, which is, I feel like maybe I flip-flopped exactly the opposite way around in the last week. But
I think Alexis could do that kind of, I think if we had to pick one of Lingard or Martial to be available now, everyone knows I'm president of Tony Marshall fan club. I'd get Lingard for his importance in terms of that energy and that movement in between the lines. But maybe Alexis could do that job.
Except
I thought that against Paris.
It's not like Lingard is Lingard's best strength is obviously not his use of the ball in the final third. It's his kind of movement and intelligence as a footballer. But Alexis's use of the ball in the final third is just one of the. Even when he was good, Alexis's use of the ball in the final third was questionable. So
true.
All I want to see is that we're not banging in blind crosses, because Van Dijk will eat that up all day long. We don't want to be doing that. Let's talk about Liverpool. Gaz, what do we need to be looking out for against Liverpool?
I don't know. Don't watch him.
Thank you, Gaz. Paul, what do we need to be looking out for against Liverpool? They've had a handful of draws in recent games in this big run that they've had. Leicester managed to hold them. Obviously, Bayern held them. They have stumbled a little bit without managing to lose. So what do you think we need to be looking at to exploit them?
I hate saying this. Exploiting them is genuinely difficult, I think. I think, like Dave said, PSG did it, but it wasn't just about systems when PSG did it. I mean, you cited Neymar and Di Maria as the players that caused them all that trouble. It's like...
it was more system than players, to be honest. Looking back from that perspective.
But you need the players to do the system. Like, if you want players that can then execute. Because I think this was the thing against PSG. Our biggest problem was execution. That's what needs to be really good. What we basically need to happen, I think, is for Paul Pogba to have like a combined total of 10 insanely good minutes across the course of the 90 minutes. If that happens, then we'll be absolutely fine, because he'll create the quality of chances and take chances. That's the kind of key for me about this.
Graham Souness
amazing moments
will explode live on air if that happens, because that is the final nail in the coffin for him, that he does it against Liverpool.
It's all Gary Neville, to be fair.
I'm genuinely sick of talking about Souness and Pogba, because I don't think enough gets made of why Souness has a problem with Pogba. And it's become a meme that Graham Souness doesn't like Paul Pogba, ha ha ha. I'm not like everyone does it. This is the thing, but it's not ha 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 ha. It's Graham Souness doesn't like Paul Pogba. That's actually really insidious. There's something quite dark about why that is. So,
Adam, what do we need to be doing this weekend to make sure we get victory against Liverpool? Who do we need to be looking out for?
This is the usual suspects, but I have been impressed with Fabinho for them this season. Now, obviously, he's not going to be the one that we look out for and the one that we have to watch, but he could be a very, very important figure in the game, especially if someone like Matic for us doesn't have the best of games. Then we could be looking at Fabinho thinking, God damn, why didn't we go and sign him when we were linked with him? I look at Fabinho and I see someone that's settling into the Liverpool side and looking really good. He played at centre-half against Bayern Munich and didn't look out of sorts there. And obviously we know where else he can play. But for me, I don't know why I'm not worried by their front three. Every time they've come to Old Trafford, they've never really done anything to us.
Yeah, but Jose's parked the tank every time they've come to Old Trafford.
If we play well, we win this game.
I think it's dealing with Andy Robertson pushing forward on the left-hand side for Liverpool United's right, dealing with that movement and sort of covering Ashley and giving him a bit of protection. Ander Herrera did it really well against Chelsea, so I expect him to do it again.
Awesome. Dave, while we're with you, give us your score prediction for Sunday's big game.
2-1 Man United.
Oh, feeling it. Paul, score prediction.
Yeah, that's the number I randomly picked out on our podcast. I'm going to stick with it, 2-1.
Gaz, score prediction.
I'm going to go 2-2.
Boo you. Adam, score prediction.
I was in between 2-1 and 2-2, you know, and they've both been read out, so I'm gonna go 2-0 to United.
Love it. I also think 2-1 as well. I think United are getting the win here. Lads, is there anything you guys need to plug real quick? Paul?
You can listen to my podcast if you want to. Some people like it.
Kaz?
If you're a builder, you can listen to my breakfast show on Fix Radio, 7 till 9 a.m.
Can you imagine any builder when they meet him?
I'm on a van.
Of all the people for a builder to listen to, Gaz. Anyway, Adam, where can we find you?
Full-Time Devils, Adam McKola TV, all over the gaff. Check out my British Asian doc on Copper 90 as well.
Do check
really
that
good.
out as well. It was
Really
good. Dave, where can we find you?
Squawky YouTube channel. We've done a preview as well. Doing a little bit of tactical stuff. If you want to see a little bit more in-depth, jump over there.
Tic-tac.
And you can come and check me out as well. I did a real good podcast with Wes Brown this week, which you definitely should check out. He's got some good thoughts on the 99 versus the 08 team. Anyway, thank you guys for
look at me.
joining
Wes
us.
Brown's on my podcast.
We will see you at Old Trafford after we've smashed the Scousers. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.
Wes Brown was better than Vidic.
We're better than John Terry.